Welcome to the Lancaster County Democrats Watchful Citizens Show. My name is Barbara Baier, and this week's guest is Jami Givens. She is a doctoral candidate in school psychology at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Welcome, Jami.
Thank you.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from Nebraska, new to Nebraska?
I'm from Nebraska. I'm originally from O'Neill, Nebraska, and I did my undergraduate work at Nebraska Wesleyan University here in Lincoln.
Well, good, good. Now, what motivated you to get into the career of educational psychology?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I've just always had an interest in the educational and mental health needs of students, of children and adolescents. Okay. So school psychology was a good fit for that, and that kind of encompassed all of those things.
Okay. Well, tell us, you've been working with Dr. Susan Swearer, who a lot of our viewers are going to recognize that name as a person who's done a lot of work in the area of bullying and harassment, particularly among children. Mm-hmm. Could you tell us about your work with her?
Mm-hmm. Well, our research group broadly focuses on healthy student functioning, and so kind of boiling that down, we look a lot at the social, psychological factors that go into the bully victim continuum, what kind of plays a role in those dynamics. So we've done a lot of research as well as presentations at local and national conferences, teacher workshops at local schools, talking to students.
Could you define bullying for us? I think that a lot of people have some erroneous ideas mm-hmm. about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think sometimes it's hard for adults to tell what bullying is because sometimes it can be so subtle. But what most researchers agree as a definition for bullying is negative mean behavior that takes place repeatedly over time and is characterized by a relationship that has an imbalance of power or strength.
So it's not really an issue about conflict, like perhaps maybe two friends have a fight or a disagreement. It actually is an imbalance of power. Now, give us an example what would be an imbalance of power.
Mm-hmm. So when you think about the imbalance of power, it might be somebody who's bullying one student or a group of students who maybe doesn't have a lot of friends, and so that makes them weaker than the other student, or the other student may be bigger than them, have a higher social status, be more popular, or have higher perceived popularity. So that would be that imbalance of power piece.
Okay, so can bullying happen without community support? And as we define community, perhaps it's the playground environment or the classroom. Can it happen without support?
It can happen without support, but most often it happens when there's peer groups around and there's people around kind of supporting it. So either peer group support, community support, basically nothing that is condoning it, or nothing that's inhibiting it from taking place.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of times people are like, well, go and do something about that kid over there. He or she is a bully. But I have found that often it's hard to tell who's the bully, who's the victim, because in one social setting, the bully may be readily apparent. In the next social situation, you might find that child also in a different, unequal power arrangement, and they would be the victim. Is that mm-hmm. true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Students can be a bully and engage in bullying behaviors in one situation and be victimized in another situation, and those students are characterized as bully victims. So they not only are victimized by some students, and either as a result of that victimization they engage in bullying behaviors, or because they are bullying others, they can become victimized.
Okay. So tell us about some of the findings from your study at Lincoln Public Schools.
Well, we have basically three different things that we've been studying, three different projects. One is longitudinally based, looking at students' school experiences, peer groups, some of the social functioning, psychological functioning. And then our second one, we just finished up data collection on an international study where we're part of 5 different countries that are surveying school experiences, peer groups, and that type of thing across those countries, so then we can make international comparisons. And then thirdly, we've looked at some of the social and cognitive factors that play a role in those students who have been individually identified as someone who's engaged in bullying behavior. So it's more of an individual basis. And basically what we found is that we have a lot more work to do, that there's a lot that we can look at. But we've been looking at, well, what's the best way to measure bullying behavior? Is it, with a single act, or is it frequency? Kind of what goes into the best way of measuring bullying behavior? We found that those students who are bully victims, like we just talked about, are the most impaired group, so they're the most anxious or depressed, the most lonely out of all the different groups. And then we've also looked at some of the reasons that students say they are being bullied, or students say they bully others. So for example, we recently looked at students who said that they were bullied because, or in a way that the other students said that they were bullied because they were calling them gay. And so we looked at sort of the internalizing effects of that.
And that's a real common issue that I've heard a lot in recent years is statements like, oh, that's so gay. And it's not even really whether or not the person that's directed towards is actually gay or
Right.
lesbian. It's a perception issue.